Hey guys, Erica here. Time for your weekly preview for classes that I'm doing this week. This week we're going to be working with vashistasana a lot, side plank, hopefully making it into full vashistasana, but possibly stopping here before going beyond, but we'll see what happens. So we're going to start with lots of shoulder openers, and I'm going to do one here for you that's going to be really important for setting the shoulder when we're in side plank. So you need a wall, and we're probably going to be the place where I teach yoga, especially on Tuesday nights. We don't have wall space. We have like this much wall space. So we might be on the floor, but it's really nice to do it standing. So I'm going to do it on the floor here to get myself ready. So you want to come nice and close to the wall so that you can put your hand flat on the wall, middle finger is pointing straight up, and the rest of the fingers are spread nice and wide. The elbow, wrist, elbow, and shoulder are in one straight line. And then you want to rotate this upper arm, taking the inner bicep up to the sky and then back towards the wall behind you. So normally this is where my shoulder would be, but then I'm going to rotate it up and open. And it's a really active rotation, and you can feel it through the whole bottom of that upper arm right to the elbow and into the front of the chest a little bit. And then keeping that rotation, we're going to start to turn. This is my left arm, so I'm going to start to turn to the right. It's a bit awkward when you're in seated. And when I turn to the right, my shoulder's going to want to come with me, so that's when that movement of the inner bicep up and back is really important. So keeping that engaged, pushing into the wall, pressing that shoulder open, and maybe even coming a little deeper. Again, going back to that rotation, taking the inner bicep up and back, making sure the low ribs are pressing back, the skull is pressing back, the spine is in its neutral position. Taking a couple more breaths here. Continually opening up through that inner bicep. I can feel it right down into my elbow, the inner elbow. And then coming out of that, doing the other side. So maybe it might be interesting to see it from the back. So the hand comes here, watching now the back of the, if you're watching the back of the upper arm, it's going to come down and forward as this comes up. So the whole arm is turning out, and then twisting, making sure that arm is coming out and the middle finger stays pointing up. Really opening up through the shoulder, through the upper arm. Skull roots back, low ribs press back, spine is nice and long. And you can stay there for as long as you like. It's a really therapeutic move, creates lots of space in the shoulder and sets up the shoulder positioning really well. Now we're going to come into down dog, and we're going to practice something that I learned on Yoga Glow from Dice Eda Klein, whose classes are amazing. First of all, we're going to practice from down dog, bringing one elbow down and then the other. So coming towards dolphin. Really for dolphin we would walk our legs in, but we're just going to stay in the down dog stance for now. And then pushing into the hands to see if you can come up equally on the hands. And the important thing here is to make sure that the elbows don't come wide when you bring them down, but to really bring them in so they're at shoulder distance. And then to come up. So we'll do that a few times and then see if, and possibly not everyone's going to be able to do this, but bringing both elbows down at the same time so they're both hugging towards each other and the shoulders are back on the back body, and then they come down. Looking forward, bend the knees, and then we're just going to glide forward to chaturunga, and then come into up dog, and back to down dog. So we'll do that a few times, and that's the first option, is the glide. Well, okay, so the first option is to come down one arm, then the other, and then do the glide. Second option is to come down two arms at a time, bend the knees, glide forward, and then the other option is to come down both arms at a time, bend the knees, and then do a little hop and float forward. So you look way forward, and you just do a little hop and land in chaturanga, into up dog, into down dog. Taking a few breaths here. And then we'll come into our side plank. So we'll come forward to regular plank. Bring that right hand in the center and a little bit forward, just like an inch forward. Turn the feet onto the sides, onto the outer side of the right foot, and I'm pressing that right foot to come towards flat. It's not quite flat, but it's moving in that direction. The left foot is flexed, and the left foot as always, can be in front of you for support. Left hand can be on the hip. And here's where that rotation of the arm is really important, taking the inner bicep and moving it forward and back. And that's going to bring that shoulder back so you're not rounding forward. Once you're there, lifting the hips up, keeping the neck in line with the rest of the spine, and maybe that left arm lifts up, rotates back, and then both arms spin open from the upper arm bone. And then bringing the gaze down, we're going to bring this left arm down so the elbow, the forearm's going to come to the floor, the elbow's in line with the right hand. So it's not back here, but it's nice and far forward here so the elbow is below the shoulder still. Come onto the left foot, rotate that arm open, lift through the hips, try not to fall over backwards, lift the arm, lift the gaze, roll both upper arms back, take the low ribs back, the skull back, lift the hips, and then looking down, the right arm comes down into forearm plank, tucking the tailbone, taking the shoulders back away from the ears and up away from the floor, gaze is slightly forward, and then walking your hips up, feet in to dolphin. My dolphin isn't so deep. One day it'll be deeper. And then bending the knees, taking the gaze way forward and doing that glide, not hitting your head, coming up into up dog and back into down dog. And then we'll do the other side. Coming forward into plank, walking that left hand forward and a little bit, into the center and a little bit forward, bringing the feet together, coming onto the left side. My left foot is trying to press flat into the floor. The right foot is on top or in front. That upper arm is rotating open. The right hand comes to the hip first to bring that right shoulder back, and then maybe it stays there or maybe it floats up. Both arms rotating open from the upper arm. And then looking to the floor, bringing the elbow down at where the left hand is. I'm going to just hop back here. Coming into side plank on this side. Reaching the hips up, rotating the upper arms, feet stack. And then bringing that forearm down, coming into forearm plank. Lifting the hips up, walking the feet in to dolphin, bending the knees, looking forward, coming forward, up, and back to down dog. And then depending on how it goes and how my particular students are this week, we might work on full vashistasana. So bending both knees, taking hold of the outside of the top foot. This is my left foot, starting to lift that left shin up to parallel to the floor, bring the knee back towards the wall behind you, straighten the right leg, the bottom leg, and then start to lift up through the top leg. And then maybe we'll work on the transition down to a lunge. And I know in my class we're not at Hanumanasana, but if you're a teacher or a student and you want to work on it, you can do that last transition. Bring the shin up parallel, pulling the knee back, straightening the bottom leg, straightening the top leg, and then coming into Hanumanasana. I'm not warmed up yet, so I'm not quite there, but that's a nice transition to do as well. With the mat pull. So that's what we're working on this week. Come down to class if you want to, or try it at home, incorporate it into your practice or your teaching, if you are teaching classes, and I hope you enjoy it. If you do try this out, especially if you're a teacher, I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment, and namaste. Have a good week.